with your energy forecast for Monday, July 31st. So welcome to the last day of July. Of course, anytime we are closing out a month, there is an intensity for us to kind of wrap up and learn the lesson that we were supposed to learn. If you want to go back and listen to July's energy forecast, the intro that I put out for July, just to kind of summarize what it is that you were supposed to learn, I'm going to recommend you do that. We on Mondays, moon days, are especially in for an intense emotional refinement when all of the aspects of the day involve the moon. The moon is in Capricorn energy, and we will see that moon transition into Aquarius energy, which of course is going to set us up for the full moon that we're about to have here on the very first day of August. So we're definitely moving into the realm where there should be a lot of aha moments, a lot of realizations, a lot of changing circumstances in order for us to see very fully what it is that we haven't been able to see thus far. And of course, having that illumination is definitely going to pivot us on our path, in our direction, and of course, provide us with a lot more clarity. So there are 12 different aspects here today. All 12 are going to involve the moon. The moon is going to kick off by interacting with Neptune, who is retrograde in Pisces energy. This is a beautiful opportunity for us to take a grounded, logical, practical approach to our dreams, to our visions, to what it is that we're inspired and motivated to actually pursue. This is a good energy because, of course, the moon in Capricorn really keeps us down to earth while we kind of float off into la land, into imaginary land, receiving insights from the higher realms of intelligence on what it is that we should be focused on, what it is that we want to manifest, and what it is that we want to pursue from here. The moon is going to interact with Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information and communication and how it is that we express ourselves, now in its place of power in Virgo energy. So we have the earthiness of both the moon and Capricorn, Mercury being in Virgo energy to give us a down-to-earth, logical, practical approach with sorting through some of the information that we are currently trying to digest. Our heart and our head need to get in alignment. And right now, the distance is close, but it's not close enough in order for us to arrive at a decision, at a choice point, and feel fully informed on actually moving forward. The moon is going to get into the boxing ring and square off with Chiron, the wounded healer, who of course is retrograde in this Aries energy. Now, a square is going to highlight conflict, highlight tension in order for us to realize what the major problem is of the moment, in order for us to try and flip the script, reframe it, so that we can essentially grow and improve. So we're kind of dealing with fears, with doubts, with insecurities. We're kind of struggling with imposter syndrome. We really don't know if we have what it takes or what is required of us to kind of continue to push forward and really kind of meet the obstacles and challenges that we're banging our head against the wall about, whether we're able to meet them in a fair setting in which we actually believe that we're going to get through it, that we're going to get around it, that we're going to resolve it. Now, again, this is just the negative Nancy, Debbie Downer type of mental plane narrative that comes in because of the moon in this Capricorn energy. But we do really kind of have to see where it is that we're not feeling our best, not feeling our strongest, not feeling equipped, so that we can figure out what it is that we can do in order to get to that particular confidence, that particular optimistic perspective and point of view, so that of course we can strategize and plan on how it is that we're going to move forward. The moon is going to semi-square, a little bit of a tension point, with Saturn, the ruler over Capricorn energy. Saturn, of course, rules over karma, roles and responsibilities, systems, structures, foundations, and is retrograde in Pisces energy, really helping us to figure out what it is that we actually believe in, what it is that we're actually feeling, where the pain, the trauma is blocking us, where we can flip the script and try to heal that. And of course, we are kind of collapsing the old realm of belief, the old realm of our dreams, of our visions, because of course we've outgrown those particular aspects. And in order for us to move on, we do have to kind of restructure, reframe the way that we're looking at things, the way that we're talking to ourselves, the way that we're building closing ourselves up in our inner realm. And a lot of that right now is very difficult to do because we're holding on to some very not so nice belief systems, narratives that we've been kind of telling ourselves that really just don't fit the encouragement bill that we need at this particular point in time to move forward. The moon is going to interact with Venus. Venus, of course, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money, who is retrograde in the heart and soul of the zodiac in this Leo energy. What I like about this is that this is a positive interaction, so that's helpful. But it's also helping us to take a good look at our current lives, okay? So Venus, who kind of rules over our physical bodies, our physical realms, where it is that we're building our self-worth, our self-confidence, where we have routines set into place, where our relationships are concerned, where our values, our priorities, our long-term goals are concerned. She's going retrograde. We're re-evaluating pretty much everything that we have built in our physical realms. And what I like about this is that we're down to earth. We're taking a very logical, practical, realistic approach on examining what we actually got going on, because at one particular point in time, we prayed for the situations and circumstances that we're currently living in. And we are really examining what is strong enough to kind of support us in moving forward. And in that realization, we also recognize what is not strong enough, what does need to change, where we do feel the instability of certain aspects of our lives. And this is giving us an aha moment, a change of heart, if you will, realizing where the change is needed in order to support us in moving forward with new passion projects, with new goals, new dreams, new visions, new long-term objectives, if you will. The moon is going to trine Uranus. So we like this for a couple of reasons. Uranus, of course, the great awakener, he likes to throw some wild card energies at us. Whether it is an aha moment, an awakening happening within yourself, whether there's a trigger or an activation coming at you through your physical realm, through conversations, there's some kind of change. Now, here's the thing. The Capricorn energy, it likes to stick with the same old, very traditional in a sense, but yet when presented with information and details that could support a dramatic pivot point in your path and in your direction, the Capricorn energy is solid enough to say, you know what, here's the facts, here's what's going to support us in the long term. So maybe we need to kind of maneuver ourselves away from some of the things that we thought were going to be long-term storylines, topics, and themes in our lives in order to see what the alternative could be. So this is kind of opening us up, giving us a nudge, if you will, to say, hey, maybe you could do that better. Maybe you could improve that. Maybe you need to change that entirely. It's taking a little bit of a snapshot on where it is that things have been going according to the same old, and where it is that some of those things need to have a spontaneous change in our either perspective, understanding, or literally in our path and direction that we're walking in order to kind of free us up to do things in a better way. The moon will interact with Venus again, this time not as nice as the earlier aspect, meaning this is a time where we are presented with two different options, two different directions, two different choice points. And we should be stepping back and really observing what's coming up for us, why we feel torn, why we feel this divide, why we're being presented with two different choice points. And a spoiler alert here, one of those options are going to feel safe and secure and make a lot more intellectual and logical sense than the other. The other is going to feel like it's the right choice, may not make a whole lot of logical and practical sense, but there's a sense of knowing, there's a sense of needing to do it. And so we're trying to sort things out here because, of course, Venus is going through this whole, death and rebirth cycle on her own in the underworld. And we are kind of needing to step back and seeing what our options are. Because again, as you've been listening to me talk about this Venus retrograde, sometimes doing the right thing is the most painful thing to do. And we are at a particular juncture in this healing journey and in our creation chapters where we have to get really real and raw and vulnerable with our heart space, with what it is that we want. And we may take a good look around at the physical realm in which we've built and identify that we don't want this anymore. And maybe there's just certain parts that we don't want. Regardless, we need to step back, act as the observer, see the options that are coming to the surface. Also keep in mind, we're moving into the full moon window, which does illuminate situations, information, details, circumstances that we have yet to actually see and therefore have not processed as of yet. So we definitely want to be heart aligned, but we want to make sure that we are taking stock, taking a good inventory, if you will, of our physical realms and really figuring out what needs to stay and what needs to go. The moon is going to sextile Neptune. This is a beautiful energy. It kind of plays off the very first aspect that we've had in the run of the day. That was also a positive interaction. So it's almost like we need to go so far in our physical realm, in our physical reality, then we need to pause and remind ourselves what it is that we're working towards, what the dream actually is, what the vision actually is. Remind ourselves of the why. Why are we doing this? Why are we pushing ourselves? Why do we feel like we need to change? All of these things are being illuminated because we're in a very pivotal point of change, especially in the direction and the path that we're actually looking to pursue and take. Again, we are building towards the Lionsgate portal, which always creates a certain amount of craziness the weeks prior to, in order for us to get real and raw and vulnerable with what it is we are and are not willing to tolerate. So this little bump, if you will, with Neptune is like a refresher. It brings us back down to earth. It infuses us with the spirit, with the faith that we have to have in staying true to the process and staying true to ourselves. It's a little bit of a refresher on why it is that we're actually working so hard, why we're so hell-bent and damn well and determined in order to make a change in our physical realms, in order to actually align with our higher selves. The moon is going to interact with Mars. Mars, of course, the god of war. He rules over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desires. He's in Virgo energy. So the process of change is very, slow and steady in an earth energy. Mars, of course, would prefer just to take action and deal with the consequences later. But of course, we're not getting away with that. In Virgo energy, everything has to be well thought out, well calculated, well planned, well strategized before we're exerting even a little baby finger worth of energy. And of course, the whole attempt with Mars being in this Virgo energy is to fix, to heal, to repair, to reconcile, to resolve a lot of the situations and circumstances that have been very challenging in our physical realms. And of course, we're really taking a good look at the realm and reality in which we've built and really identifying what needs our attention first and foremost. So this particular interaction is definitely going to give us a different kind of perspective, a different view, because of course Capricorn energy wants to see, the greater, grander picture on how it is that we got here, where it is that we're at, where it is that we are planning on going from here. The Virgo energy needs to break that big visual down into smaller pieces. What steps did we take to actually create the circumstance that we're currently in that now we want to change? How can we kind of, nip our narrative in the bud in order to start having a narrative to support us in moving forward? We really have to take that great big grand picture and break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces if we want to align with the great big vision, the great big dream that now we're looking to actually manifest. The moon is going to bump into Mercury once again, this time a little bit better of an interaction, which means that we are making some serious progress in our inner realm. Our heart and our head, they're starting to talk. They're starting to get on the same page. They're starting to be in agreement, and we love that for us. We're starting to formulate plans and strategies and really kind of question different options, possibilities, and alternatives. What's even better about this is that if we're in a situation where a heart-to-heart conversation needs to be had in order to clear the air or, let people know where it is that we're at, what it is that we're thinking and feeling, this is a good aspect to do just that. But keep in mind that when we have earth energy, we're not as emotional, we're not as expressive, we're kind of to the point, matter of fact. Here it is, here's what I have to say. We're not kind of getting ooey gooey mushy over it. We're just stating facts at this point. So just kind of understand that even if you are entering into a conversation where, we are talking about our emotions, it is simply dialogue. We're not actually backing these words with the emotions which we're feeling. We're kind of matter of fact, to the point, and just trying to get it off of our chest. The moon is then going to get into the boxing ring, square off with the North Node in this Aries energy. We're squaring off because we aren't quite sure the move that we should be making to move forward. We're getting there. We're kind of picking up the pieces. We're taking the hints, we're taking the clues. But as far as the North Node in Aries goes, and of course, the North Node needs us to get on the path in order to reach our soul's mission, our soul's purpose, our soul's potential. That Aries energy just wants us to go, like just go, 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 go. Well, the Capricorn energy that the moon is currently in, we don't do that, right? We need to step back. We need to go low and slow and steady. That's what Earth energy is all about. So this is a little bit of friction being illuminated because there is a part of us that just wants to say, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to take an action. I'm going to make a move. I'm going to see what happens. That's that Aries energy just pushing us into a new path of experimentation. But the moon in Capricorn knows that we cannot afford to do that. We have to kind of step back. We have to be the observer. We have to take in the highs, the lows, the everything in between. We have to explore the variables before we're going to make any kind of move, because we're really thinking about our long-term goals, the long-term mission here. And that requires a lot more thought than just taking action and making moves willy-nilly. So the last aspect that we have with the moon in Capricorn, before it goes void, of course, and prepares to lock into the Aquarian energy that we're about to have this full moon in, the moon is going to come up to, conjunct, sit next to, team up with Pluto. Pluto, as you know, the great transformer himself, is retrograde in this Capricorn energy at those final degrees. So as the moon in Capricorn is moving forward, we are kind of bumping into Mr. Pluto before skipping over him and moving into the Aquarian energy. Let me just say that anytime the moon and Pluto come together, there's an intense emotion that gets triggered and activated. There's an intense pressure in our headspace to figure it all out, to arrive, to decide, to choose, to do something that we've been hesitant in doing. What I will say is that this is going to put a lot of intense energy on us, urgency, if you will. And we become into a little bit of a attitude where we're not really willing to compromise. It's an all or nothing situation at this particular point in time. And a lot of that is because we are growing up to this particular line in the sand, if you will, of what we are and are not willing to tolerate or experience thus far. And so this intensity that Pluto kind of brings with this all or nothing type of attitude, we need to be in this mind frame. We need to be at this particular line of not really wanting to do this anymore or take it anymore or tolerate it anymore, because this is the buildup to the full moon, illuminating for us different information, details, circumstances, possibilities, and alternatives that we haven't thought of otherwise. So we kind of have to get to that quote unquote breaking point in order for us to be a little bit more open, if you will, to thinking about the kind of changes that are now on our plate and available for us to make.